Hi, everyone. Oh gosh, it's already been a week, well, just under a week since we last hung out, but it's so good to see you again. Hope everybody's having a most wonderful day, a most wonderful week. And yeah, welcome to what are we on day 4 of the Bad Website Club boot camp. Uh, I'm so excited to be teaching you today. If you don't know me, my name is Carmen. Jess, Ed, and I are teaching this bootcamp completely for free. So if you're tuning in for the first time, don't worry. Um, but I want to ask you before we get started, how's it going? How's it feeling? We're learning a lot at once, and I bet it can feel a little overwhelming. I definitely know that when I'm picking up a lot of new things at once, it could be like, wait, what am I supposed to remember? What am I not supposed to remember? But don't worry, we're going to get through all of that. Oh, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Love to see the chat lighting up. But yeah, I'd love to hear how's it going so far. While you tell me that, just a couple of housekeeping things from me. And firstly, by joining this bootcamp, you agree to abide by our code of conduct. Please go to badwebsite.club/code-of-conduct to find out more. And if you see anything that's out of sorts, or if anything is making you feel uncomfortable, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll sort it out. Please stay up to date with our schedule, badwebsite.club/bootcamps/spring-2026. I'm happy to share that we've just added our first guest sessions. I'll show those to you in a bit. To join the Discord of Free Code Camp, please go to discord.gg/ all caps KVU lowercase m uppercase V uppercase X uppercase A. And finally, to join us on YouTube, where you're seeing this live, all of our sessions are recorded. So if you don't make it to them, don't worry. Go to youtube.com/@badwebsiteclub. And yeah, let's see what folks are saying. Folks are learning some stuff learning some stuff outside. And yeah, people are excited to join. So am I. So let me go ahead and share my screen and tell you a little bit first about what we'll be doing today, as well as those new guest sessions I mentioned. So today we're going to be continuing our learning journey with HTML. Oh, just a quick note. If the font size is too small, please let me know ASAP so I can make it larger. But yes, so let's look at the homework we had, which Jess pointed out. You will have worked through the steps of the Build a Cat Photo app and saved any questions you have for me. Please ask us all the questions and we will answer them. And then we'll start our first lab, which is to build a recipe page. This is going to be our first time doing on our own. And yeah, it's going to be super, super fun. We have a question from Me Can't Spell. The recorded sessions are edited. No, they are not. Some are longer, some are shorter. That's pretty much it. But they're saved as is. Unless there's something we need to edit out, but we'll be transparent about that. So, yes, our homework was also to read these 3 sessions from Free Code Camp. We'll be going through those today. And yeah, I'm going to walk a little bit through building a recipe page, but of course, I'm not going to give you all the answers because that wouldn't be very fun, would it? Now, let me tell you about those new guest sessions real quick. So throughout this boot camp, we're going to be having a couple of guests on to talk to us about different aspects of web development. And I can tell you with much excitement that next week already, we're going to have Terrence Eden, who's going to talk to us about SVGs, which stands for something vector graphics. Something vector graphics. I don't remember what is. Gosh, does anybody know what SVG stands for? I know it's something vector. Oh, does Eda have scalable? Thank you, Eda. Scalable vector graphics. Very exciting. Terrence is wonderful. I can't wait for y'all to hang out with him next week. It is scalable. Look at y'all knowing more than I do. And then on the 20th, we're going to have Sarah Joy, who's going to talk to us about whimsicality. Here, this 11 stands for the number of letters in between A and Y of accessibility. So we're going to be talking about accessibility. All right. So, sorry, it's very warm today. Look at y'all knowing Scalable. Y'all know much better than I do. Amazing Destroy's asking, I have a question. Is it okay to reference my previous lab work when making a new page? Should be. If it doesn't go against Free Code Camp's rules, doesn't go against ours. Oh, what's the best way to post our work in the Discord chat? I did mine for my favorite stew. That is a good question. We will be doing some sessions on like getting your work online, but you can, oh, look at Matthew already knowing the answer. Screen capture is a great way to do it. On macOS, you can press Command Shift 4 space and click. It's not the easiest way, but it is a way to supposed to screenshot. On Windows, you can press Windows Shift S to take a screenshot and then post it into the Discord. That's a great idea. Or if not, post it to Git, which is a topic not for today. Oh, function F12 on Windows. Thank you. Okay, let's go right to our recipe building page. Now, like I said, this is a full-on lab, but I'm not going to do everything for y'all, just show you a little bit. That is a small font size. Let me make it a little larger. You Can't Spell asks, I think links are allowed on the Discord, right? I actually am not sure, but we'll find out. You're not going to, I hope you don't, no, don't take my word for it. Let's find out. Maybe we can ask in the Discord. Cool. So let's look at what we have here. So if you haven't used the editor in Free Code Camp yet, let me show you what we have. Here on the left side, we have the instructions. Here in the middle, we have our code editor. And on the right side here, which I hope you can see my mouse, is the preview of the web page we're building. Feel free to interrupt me with questions, okay, folks? So let me show you an example. If I type in hello world, you will see that the preview will show hello world. Technically, it's not the best HTML because it doesn't have any tags or anything, but it does work. Anywho, first we'll read our instructions. So we will build an app that is functionally similar to this example project. Let's open that up in a new tab. So, chocolate chip cookies. Welcome to the ultimate guide for making, oh no, now I'm gonna get hungry. But yeah, we can see a title, a paragraph, an image. We've been learning about these HTML elements. Another heading, some bullet points, more numbered points. What are they called? Gosh. Numbered bullet points? Ordered list, an ordered list. So we want to recreate something like this. Try not to copy the example project. Give it your own personal style. So our objective is to fulfill the user stories below and get all the tests to pass to complete the lab. Dan Marino says, I should have prepared some snacks. Yeah, no, I mean, I shouldn't be snacking on stream. So y'all are going to have to snack on my behalf. So let's look at these user stories. Now, if you're not familiar with user stories, these are a fairly common term in software development. You'll hear them often when dealing with coming up with projects and that sort of thing. And what user stories are is essentially what is required in our application. These user stories of like, as a user, when I use this application or this website, what do I expect to see? And we can see we have a list here of a whole bunch of stuff we need. And like I said, I'm not going to show you how to do all of these. I'm just going to walk you through a couple of them with your help, I hope. But there's something else to keep in mind that I think is going to be very important. As you can see here below the user stories are some tests. Your recipe page should have a doc-type HTML declaration. You should have an HTML element with a language set to EN and a whole bunch of other tests. Now, what's cool about these tests is that they're automated. So FreeCodeCamp has this really nifty thing where if you click on check your code, you saw that it kind of ran the tests a little bit and put a bunch of X's on it. And those X's mean this test did not pass. So for example, my recipe page should have a doc-type HTML declaration, but doesn't have one. It also says here, your recipe page should have a doc-type HTML declaration. And what I love about this method of software development, which by the way is called test-driven development, because you just focus on one test at a time, make it work, and then move on to the next one. And the great thing about this is that it allows you not to be, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I get overwhelmed really easily. So I like having one thing I can laser focus at a time. This is called divide and conquer, by the way. You see it often in software development, at least in my time. I'm not going to tell y'all how long I've been around, but it's been a while. Anyway, yeah, so this is called divide and conquer. So you're focusing on one issue, not worrying about the rest. And once that's fixed, you move on to the next one. So let's do that. How does that go again? Doc type HTML. Is that how you do it? See, it's been a while. Let's check our code. Check it out. This test is now passing. And now it's saying the rest are not passing, and it says you should have an HTML element with lang set to EN. Now, cool, there's no issues, but we did get this passing. And I'm a big fan of wins, even small wins, small victories. We've divided, we've conquered. So I think it's nice to take a little opportunity to pat ourselves on the back, do a little pat, pat, and we move on to the next one. So you should have a doc-type HTML declaration. Cool, done. Now, what's next? We should have an HTML element with lang set to EN. HTML with lang, that's an attribute, set to EN. And of course, this being HTML, we need to close that tag too, which we learned over the last few days. Check our code. Now, let's take a look at our tests. We've got a new test passing, a little pat on the back. Oh, we got a question here. How can I get my previously written code in FreeCodeCamp, which have already passed the test cases? It's a good question. Now, I believe if you go to menu, is it profile? I think it's been a while, huh? You used to be able to get it here, but maybe I've forgotten, huh? Curriculum. I'm sorry, folks. Maybe it was settings. Campfire, privacy, download, academic honesty policy. No, that was for the certifications, huh? Oh, hang on. Oh, no, those are legacy. Responsive web design certification exam. Folks, I'm sorry. I don't remember how to do this, but I would recommend asking this question in the FreeCodeCamp Discord. You'll definitely get an answer there. Oh. we got somebody here saying, I think it's in curriculum. Thank you. Curriculum. Debug. Where was that? Build a recipe page. Oh yeah, look, it's already there. It should stay there. Because it should save automatically. Oh, Edda, thank you so much. There's an answer here in the Free Code Camp forum. Thank you. Oh, and Matthew says, I always save my code to something like Notepad++. That's a good tip. Okay, sorry to take us off track here. Let's just check our code real quick. We've still got some stuff we got to do. We should have a head element within the HTML element. Cool, doable. Head element, which remember we will close inside our HTML element. Fantastic. And we pat ourselves on the back, pat, pat. I'll do a couple more, but I just first want to answer this question. Which channel should we post our recipes in? So in the Free Code Camp Discord, there is a bootcamp discussion channel under Bad Website Club. And there you can post your recipes. Your recipe pages. So cool. Let's just do a couple more of these. So we should have a head element containing a title element with the name of your recipe. Okay, so inside our head, we will have a title. And inside that title, we will have the name of our recipe. Empanadas chilenas. I haven't had empanadas in ages. Empanadas are like these dough. They're kind of like giant dumplings. I'm about to say something very controversial, and I apologize. They're kind of like giant dumplings. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. I'm not. They're very good, and they're either filled with cheese or beef, and there's a whole bunch of different types of empanadas. Hot Pockets. Okay, I feel less bad. Thank you, Matthew. So, title, right, got distracted. And a meta element with a charset attribute set to UTF-8. Oh, Mighty Unicorn Dragon did theirs for Colombian arepas. I love arepas. They're so good. Oh, I spoke at a conference in Medellin in Colombia a couple years ago, and I had so many arepas. Okay, so the meta element will have the char. Oh no, South American pierogies. You're not wrong. UTF-8. So I've done that one. Handheld giant raviolis. I'm getting distracted. So ooh, check it out. A bunch of tests have passed now. We should have a title element within our head element. So that's pat, pat. Our title element should have a recipe title, which it does. Pat, pat. Our meta element should exist. Pat, pat. And our meta element should have its charset attribute set to UTF-8. Pat, pat. Cool. So as you can see, as we go through each of these user stories, our tests will also be passing. And the objective of this lab is to get all of those tests passing. And once they all pass, lab is done. Do we have any questions about the lab itself? In the meantime, while the stuff synchronizes, I'm going to do one more user story, which is we will have a body element. Now, you should have a body element. We need to remember from what we've learned of HTML so far that we have our HTML element, which is made up of at least two elements. One is the head, and next to the head, below the head, is the body. So that's the body element. So if I check my code, you can see our body element is within our HTML element. So we'll pat ourselves on the back one more time. Pat, pat. And I'll leave it here for now. I love seeing how enthusiastic folks are for like cooking different things from around the world. What is your equivalent of the empanada? So yes, we will. So I will leave it here. Y'all will do the rest of these over the next few days. But if you have any question, hit us up now. Now's the best time. So that's the recipe page. I also want to take this opportunity. If you have any questions or new things that you want to share that you've learned building the cat photo app, now's the time as well. And if not, we're going to go through each of these sections of Free Code Camp and learn a little bit about divs, IDs, classes, and HTML entities. So I have a little question for the class. Does anybody know what div stands for? Because it's one of my favorite questions I've ever been asked. I remember it was such a good reminder of the fact that curiosity that y'all have as beginners is so important. Just because when you've been at this for a while, like I have, you just take names for granted. It's like, okay, I guess it's called NPM. Oh. See, divide, divider, division. I think it's division, but a lot of people also go with divider or divide. So that is the correct answer. Thank you all. Oh, somebody says, thank you for increasing the font. Sure thing. If you want it bigger, just let me know. But yeah, that's what, actually, I want to make it a little larger. Bear with me, folks. Yeah, so that's what a div is. So let's start with going into right away, what is a div and what are they for? Oh, somebody says better. Fantastic. Thank you. Y'all just got to tell me if you need it bigger. Here, let me make it actually even larger. Because some of y'all are watching on phones, right? Okay, let's go with that. So what are div elements and when should we use them? And if you've used a lot of like software applications, if you've used a lot of websites or if you've looked at different code bases and stuff, you've probably heard of divs or you've seen a lot of divs if you inspect the HTML of a website. And the whole thing about divs is that they're really just containers. They're just boxes to put stuff in. And you'll see them used a lot. And you might think to yourself, well, then this is an element I want to use a lot, right? And that's the gotcha. Let me just increase. How's that? I think. Me Can't Spell asks, I've heard, how do I center a div? We'll come back to that. I promise. That's a good question. It's also a question that's that has been solved, I'm happy to say. But here's an example of using a div. So we have a div here, which, remember again, is a container, and inside is a paragraph. We've dealt with P before. It's a paragraph element. It displays text. So if we see here, example paragraph element is shown here, but we can't actually see any property of the div itself. And this is by design. Divs are big old nothings. It is a container. In fact, if we inspect, so I don't know if y'all have messed around with the inspector yet, and don't be scared, it's not going to hurt us. We're just going to explore it a tiny bit. Can I make it larger? Yes, I can. Amazing. There it is. I hope y'all can see it. There we go. So we can see our HTML here has a body, inside of which is a div, and there's our P. And the div here, what I want to show you, has no style. And don't worry, I'm just previewing some stuff now. But we're going to learn about these, especially when we go into CSS. But you can see has no margin, no border, no padding, and a size. And this size is based entirely on that P element. That means the div is as big as the stuff inside it. If I remove the content from that div, so if I leave just the P, I love messing around with stuff, folks. So if y'all want to mess around with me, let's do it together. Let me just bring back that div. So now we have a div with nothing inside it. Check this out. It has a width, but no height. That's because it has no content inside it. And it's just going to stretch to be as big as this area is. Right? So divs by design have nothing going on inside them. And that's what they're designed to do. But if I put in a nice little H1 here with hello world. So now the div contains that hello world. And you might be thinking, okay, Captain, but you've been talking about divs for a while, and this doesn't really tell me what they're used for. And that's entirely fair. And it kind of comes back to me can't spell's question. Because this is a famous question. How do I center a div? So a div, as we said, is a container. And this container can be used to dictate the layout of its contents. What am I talking about? Great question, me. What it means is this box can now be told with CSS, so I'm previewing stuff for later, can be told with CSS how to lay out the stuff inside it. For example, centering stuff inside it. For example, this should be on this, I don't know if y'all can see, this should be on the left-hand side, this should be on the right-hand side. My video could be mirrored. I have no idea. We can tell this div, oh my gosh, you are the container of this H1. I want you to do this with this stuff with the H1. We'll see more of this when we get to CSS or JavaScript. But as Dan Marino says, they are empty, but also non-semantic. Now, semantic is a heck of a word here. Semantic means whether it carries meaning or not. Now, you see, back in the day, there were fewer HTML elements. For example, there was no audio element. There was no section. There was no, footer, header elements. These didn't exist. And these are called semantic HTML elements. And what they do is they tell the browser, hey, this is what I do. This is what I'm meant for. This is what I'm meant to be used for. And what's great about it is that it allows us to be very deliberate about, sorry, I'm just reading some of the chat. It allows us to be very deliberate about how we use that HTML. Because it's not just for the browser. Because the browser is not the only thing that uses HTML. That reads HTML. Can anybody give me some examples of stuff that also reads HTML? I would love to hear some of these. And you've already been using some semantic HTML elements. Like H1, H2. Okay, what do we got here? Text editors, IDEs, yeah. There's also stuff like screen readers. There's also stuff like printers. Printers read HTML and render it. Watches, like smartwatches, read HTML and render it. And what's great about these semantic, have you ever, haha, I got one. Have you ever used reader mode in your browser? If you're not familiar, let me show you. So this button in Vivaldi, for example, allows me to activate the reader view. And what it does is not look very different because because our website is very simple. But what's cool about reader mode, and I love reader mode, is that it takes all of the semantically relevant HTML and display it in a way that I can read it. And this allows me to just read, for example, you know, those news websites that like put up a bunch of like ads and stuff and Dan Marino. Reader mode, I use reader mode a lot for articles. Same here, fantastic. Because then you don't have any pop-ups, you don't have any like, you know, pop-up, any JavaScripts that says like, oh, sign up for my newsletter. I'm like, no, thank you, I wanna read. And I might sign up. Oh my gosh, listen to this. Curse knowledge, the Windows help file format is compiled HTML. Goodness. Oh yeah, what is the Windows help file format? I don't know. Distractions, yeah. Lots of distractions. But yeah, see, so it takes all of the relevant HTML elements, and there's a lot more, like article, there's, sidebar. Oh, we got a question here. How do you get into reader mode? Sorry if you already said. First of all, please don't apologize. That's what this live mode is for asking questions. So you see this button with like, I'm sorry, it's a little small, but in Vivaldi, which is a browser, I have a button here that says reader view, and that lets me switch from normal website to reader mode. But every browser should have one built in. As MeCanSpell said, I think it depends from browser to browser. Yeah, I know that Safari on iOS has it, for example. And as said, others should have it too. I love reader mode. But that's the interesting thing. It takes the semantically relevant HTML. But there's much more. And this one is super fascinating. And it was brought up in the chat earlier. The section element. So section allows us to divide our website into several parts. So we could use a div to divide our website. But with section, we have that added semanticness. I hope that's the term. Semanticity. I'm going with semanticness. It makes it semantic. Let's go with that. So, so it deliberately tells the browser, hey, this is a specific section. MeCanSpell as like word sections. I'm so sorry. I haven't used Word since like 2006. I hope so. Sorry. If anybody in the chat knows, please chime in. Oh, Dan Marino says it improves your page's SEO. Dan, what do you mean? What is page SEO? Have we talked about it? I want to hear more. But yeah, as I said, other stuff here is also relevant, but check this out. I could do this. This is cursed. I could change section to a div. Now, visually, nothing changes, but it's no longer, like the browser no longer knows that this is a specific section. Same goes for H2, could change it to a div. Why is it not? Oh. Huh? Please refresh. Maybe I need to refresh my browser. Hang on a sec. I hope I didn't do something wrong. Did I break the thing? So div. There we go. I kind of broke the thing. So again, but notice the difference. Now it's no longer styled because HTML, the browser no longer semantically knows that it's an H2. So it means two things. First of all, it doesn't treat it like a heading anymore, for example, in reader mode, but also the browser has built-in CSS that it applies to H2. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry. We're going to get to CSS later in this bootcamp. But essentially, it pre-styles it to make it big, to make it bold, to make it chunky. Check this out. Let's make the P element into a div because we can. Again, it's there, but it doesn't look right no more. If I take a, oh, this is going to break even more. Now it doesn't even know it's a list. So our div elements used to refer back to the style sheets, and section elements are used to lay it out in sections for the user in the browser? Not quite. So sections or divs, not the same thing. They just do similar things. They contain. And this is kind of related to Me Can't Spell's question, which I really like. Why should we ever use a div? That's a great question. Doesn't it make sense to just make everything a section? Well, does it? Because what if, say, I just want to use a div to draw a cute little circle with CSS, which is possible. Bear with me. That's not really a section of the website, is it? It is a div. It is a thing that we draw. But it's not really a section of the website. So there are uses for divs. As I was explaining earlier with, the concept of a container, if I want to have just a bunch of pictures, right, that I want to style in a specific way, that's not really a section. The section would contain that container of pictures and maybe some captions or something. So div, I would use more when wanting to lay things out or to work with them with JavaScript, right? And a section would be, I would use more to really, as said, semantically separate stuff. So Mighty Unicorn Dragon's asking, what is a div? What if a div has an object and pictures and important content? Exactly. So you can use a div to lay them out. It's not really a section. A section might contain that div. I hope that makes sense. Maybe somebody can explain it better than I can. But yeah, that's semantic HTML. So we got some quiz questions here. Am I allowed to do these with y'all? Why not? I want somebody to please answer this one for me. What semantic meaning does a div element have? Somebody give me the answer. In the meantime, Me Can Spell asks, all sections are divs, but not all divs are sections. Hang on. All sections are divs, but not all divs are sections. I mean, no, but I still wanna understand the question well. All sections are divs. No, divs and sections are completely separate things. Completely separate things. Divs are containers, and sections are semantic parts of a website. Okay, gosh, people are on it. The last one, none. No semantic meaning, no semantic meaning. Yep, that is correct. So, that's correct. Div element has no semantic meaning. When is it most appropriate to use a div element in your HTML? Let's have that question answered too, please. But yeah, so like divs really are more for styling and that sort of thing. Wait, am I giving you all the answer? Never mind. Ignore me. Okay, people are saying number 2. So when grouping related content for styling purposes. Because we're not dividing content, we're not marking up the main heading, and we're definitely not embedding media. Me Can't Spell asks, what if we leave out the semantics? They both basically function as containers, right? Well, there's a word in German. I live in Austria. There's a word in German, jein. So yes and no. Sure, if we leave out the semantics, if you think about it, all HTML, pretty much most HTML elements are containers. So sure, if you think about it, a P is a container of text. Oh, I like this explanation. Sections are like chapters in a book, designate different parts of a page with different topics and functions. How do you spell Jein? Jein. So divs are non-semantic, a flavorless element to manage website stuff. Divs are random boxes you can do anything you want with. These are great explanations. Thank you all. Last question, I think. Yep. Which of the following HTML elements is commonly used to group content into distinct sections? That kind of gives the answer away. Ooh. Can you give an example of how a browser might treat sections differently than a page with no sections? That is a great question. Let me see. That is a great question. Wouldn't the reader mode do that? I'm such a fan of the reader mode. I don't think we have sections. Oh, hang on. I think our main website has sections, right, Edda? I think so. Let's have a look. Can I have reader mode, please? Okay, people are saying it's section, correct. Where would I find it? Cesium, thank you. One example might be screen reader navigation. Right, so you can have, for example, a table. Ooh, of course, a table of contents, like it could generate one. That's a great point. It also helps group it up for search engine optimization so that, for example, an AI crawler or what are they called? The website crawler, the search engine crawler might look at the different sections to find out which pieces of text are relevant. So it's not visible to us, but to robots perhaps. And for accessibility, thank you, Mucho Guillo. I hope I say that right. And we can use it to chapter out the different parts of the website. Very relevant. Thank you. All right, I'm getting lost here. This is just way too interesting. So let's talk about IDs and classes. Please be large. You are not large. Okay, so nope, bigger. Cool, bigger, better. Okay, IDs and classes. So these are attributes. These are attributes specific for, sorry, I'm distracted. I'm in the Free Code Camp Discord, but I can't see the bad website part and channel. Anyone who could link it? We're going to be linking it. Oh, bear with us. Okay, so IDs and classes are two different types of attributes that can be assigned to any HTML element. Any HTML element can have an ID. For example, this H1 with the text movie review page has the ID of title. Now, what's the difference just from the name between an ID and a class? There can only be one element in the entire website with a specific ID. But more than one element can have the same class. As Dan Marino said, IDs are unique identifier. It's like my name, Carmen Huidobro. I'm the only Carmen Huidobro here in the class. Edda, thank you so much for linking it. But yes, IDs are unique, whereas classes are not. So there's only going to be one element in this entire page with the ID of title. Now, if I have two elements with the ID of title, second title or whatever, it's not going to break, right? It's not going to break. It's just going to get weird. HTML is designed to be able to work, like it'll try its best, but you really shouldn't, because then it's going to get it's going to become difficult to style it or to use it in JavaScript. And that's where IDs and classes become a lot more relevant, as we'll see in a bit. So like Mika Balaz, kind of like the primary key in the database, and like, yes, except like Matthew says, it's not going to crash if you try to have more than one element with a certain ID. So like, yes, it's not unique, but it's meant to be. So that's IDs. But what about classes? Let's take a look, pardon me. Let's take a look at this code here, and we'll focus just on this part. So we've got a body with an H1 with the ID of title, and we can see the text is red. And don't worry about what it says. The title, we tell it, hey, the color is red. And this hashtag here is saying any element that has the ID of this title will be red. Now we're going to talk about classes. Now, not only can more than one element have the same class, but an element can have more than one class. This element has a class box, and we can call this whatever we want, by the way. It just needs to have dashes, no spaces, because spaces makes a new class. So this div has one class, box, and this one has two classes, box and red box. Now you might be wondering, why would I want to have box and red box as different classes? And this is why. Because you can have specific styles for boxes and then specific styles for red or blue boxes. And again, we don't need to understand the CSS just yet. Bear with me. We can see for boxes are 100 pixels wide and high. Red boxes are red and blue boxes are blue. So that's classes. So when should we use an ID versus a class? And I'm going to speed up a little bit because just want to make sure we have everything covered. Oh, I like this explanation by Dan. One main class for several objects with the same style and then a different style for each. Yeah, for each other class. So we will use an ID when we want a unique identifier. And we'll use class when we want to apply styles or behavior to multiple elements. What happens if we use the same ID more than once in our HTML? It can lead to unwanted results and issues when trying to apply styles or targeting an element in JavaScript. And which of the following is not a correct value for an ID attribute? And it's the same as classes. It cannot have a space in it. By convention, all IDs have dashes as space denotations. So, let's go over one more set of notes, and that is HTML entities. So this is a lot, isn't it? Thank you for bearing with me. Now, HTML entities are pieces of text that we write into our HTML to allow us to write certain symbols. And this comes from the fact that if we want to be able to do bigger than or smaller than, well, HTML is going to treat that as HTML. But sometimes we do want to be able to write out IMG as a tag. And so what we're going to tell our browser, which contains a piece of code called a parser. And that parser is a program that reads HTML and turns it into stuff we can read on the screen. We can use, and it's not pretty, huh? But it works. Ampersand, LT, whoa, come back. Ampersand, LT, semicolon. So ampersand and semicolon are saying, hey, inside here, there's something called an HTML entity. Oh, Mikan Spell says use escape characters. This is kind of the similar concept. So telling the parser like, hey, this isn't code, this is text. What is that abomination? Bear with me. So ampersand and semicolon tell the HTML parser, hey, this is an entity, turn that into a symbol for me. So for example, lower than, less than. And GT stands for greater than. And that way we can write these tags as a way into our HTML. I'm so sorry, that is a phone call, and I will turn off notifications as I should have. Sorry. So yes, that is how to write HTML symbols. Somebody's asking, what is the P? Where? Where is it? I'm sorry, I'm not seeing the P. We got a question here. We need the semicolon as well. Yes, we do. That starts and ends it. Oh, you mean here or where? Oh, this is a paragraph. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. That's the paragraph. So this is what we've been learning in the last 2 days. That is a paragraph in HTML. I'm sorry, folks. It's been a day. There's more than one way to write HTML entities. For example, if we use ampersand and the hashtag, and then the number 60, that tells it, hey, this is the ASCII code, which is a set of numbers for symbols. And that tells it this is less than. I want to stop real quick and say something, because some of y'all might be wondering, how on earth am I going to remember this? And I will dissuade those fears right away. You will not memorize any of this. And that's fine. That is expected. This is meant to be used as something you look up, right? You look up HTML entity for example, the copyright symbol, and that's how you'll get this. Or as Matthew said, there are extensions that will help you. Absolutely. I think these are hexadecimal ones as well. So 20 AC is for the euro symbol. This is for the Greek capital letter omega. This is for greater than. I really want to be clear. You do not need to memorize these. But you might be wondering, okay, but why are we using these? They seem really out of out of touch. And this is the big relevant part. Wait, what? Bear with me. Sorry. Part of the reason we still use these is, number one, backwards compatibility. Old browsers still understand these, as opposed to like just putting emojis in your HTML. Number one. Number two, and this is more relevant, it's easier to search. Because I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I don't know how to type a copyright symbol. But I do know how to type in whatever that was. This. Sorry, this one. That's the really relevant part. Somebody's asking, I haven't tried this yet, but could you put a text character for some of these symbols right in the text editor? Of course! It's actually a great question. Commercial symbol. Okay, let's try it. So ampersand, amp. That's an amp. Oh, look! It even shows. What is this? Oh, it even. Whoa. Hang on. I use Vim. I'm a weird. I use another text editor called Vim. I'm a weirdo. There are. Oh my God, it suggests things. Oh, that is so cool. Okay, so you can do that. All right, we are running out of time, so let's finish off these questions here. What is an HTML entity? Oh, the Emacs people are going to be so mad. That's another text editor. No, I use Vim, but Emacs isn't bad. I've used Emacs. They're old. Don't worry about them. Anyway, what is an HTML entity? Let's see what we got. A set of characters used to represent a reserved character in HTML. What are three types of character references? Named, decimal numeric, and hexadecimal. Which of the following is the correct syntax for a named character reference? It's going to be this one here. Let's check our answers. Looks good. Pat. All right. Oh, folks, look at y'all giving me the answers. I appreciate it so much. Whew, we've been through a lot today. Emacs isn't bad. It's better. You know what I love about software developers? We're all opinionated as heck, and that's amazing. So that's been today's session. Tomorrow we'll be back, but I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things for me. First, read what is the role of the script element. Go through the Build a Bookstore page. We're giving y'all a lot of homework. Understanding how HTML affects SEO. Understanding how HTML... Oh, sorry. What is the role of the meta description? And what is the role of open graph tags? And please, if you have any questions, ask them in the Bootcamp Discord. Ask them directly here during the session. We're so happy to help. And then start working on the travel agency page. Me says, you are the Pat person just talked about. That's me. Anyway, yeah, so that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. I've left some notes for all of you here, so feel free to use those. And I think that covers everything. I didn't forget anything, Etta, did I? I see. Fantastic. Well, folks, this has been an absolute joy. Thank you for learning with me. Thank you for asking questions. Please keep asking these questions. It's the best way to learn. Now, how about we go get some rest, we take it easy, and we absorb everything we've done today. I wish you all the most wonderful rest of your day. Bye, everyone.